The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
Another day, another video, which means another One Piece discussion. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Fly, and I am here to talk to you guys about one of our favorite Yonko in the series, and also a lot of people's favorite character, red-haired Shanks. Now, this mysterious, handsome, red-haired man has been the center of discussion and theories throughout the One Piece fandom for many years since his introduction into the series. He is the guy that inspired Luffy and is basically the reason this story is happening in the first place. Now, a little fun fact in case some of you guys didn't know, in the original Romance Dawn that Oda drew up, Shanks was originally not even in the story, at least not in the very first chapter. Instead, the person that inspired Luffy was his grandpa Garp, who was a pirate at the time instead of a marine. But things changed and we ended up getting this handsome red-haired man that got low-diffed by a Sea King. I'm just kidding, I know a lot of people have been saying, how he's a Yonko, how could he lose his arm to a Sea King? But all jokes aside, Shanks is the reason why Luffy is the way he is today. It's found out that Luffy actually always wanted to be a pirate, and it wasn't Shanks that made him or inspired him to be a pirate, but more like Shanks is the reason that pushed him forward into realizing his dream and inspired him to live the life of piracy as well as become Pirate King. As Luffy said, the famous words that his captain Gol D. Rogers said many years ago. So just like many other characters, Shanks sees a similarity between Luffy and his former captain, as well as father figure Gold Roger. Luffy has always been a very kind-hearted person and respects everyone equally and sees everyone as equals. Well, not sees everyone but equals, but he doesn't really discriminate or judge a person. But he is especially harsh on kids because he doesn't want them to use them being as a kid as an excuse to live the life that they are, and they should pursue their dreams just like Shanks did with Luffy, where Shanks really didn't respect Luffy at first. Well, he liked Luffy, but he didn't really take him serious because Luffy was a kid, and Luffy treats kids exactly the way Shanks treated him and tries to push them forward to reliving their dreams, just like how Luffy is kind of harsh on Momo. Not that he doesn't like Momo, but he wants Momo to grow up and act like a man. Luffy treats kids the same way he would treat anyone, doesn't matter their age or their gender, and doesn't want them or anyone to use their age as an excuse for cowardice. There's also the time back in Jaya when Luffy and Zoro were completely embarrassed by Bellamy and his crew, similar and mirroring the time back in Fuchsia Village. Higuma and his bandit group embarrassed Shanks, and Luffy at the time didn't understand it, but many years later Luffy remembered this very important life lesson that Shanks gave him, and that sometimes it's just not worth it to give a reaction, and it's just better to laugh it off. Even though that you are stronger than the person that's barking louder than you and trying to embarrass you, it's just better to just walk. But let's get to the discussion at hand, and that is, when will Shanks and Luffy finally meet? And as we've seen from Oda's statement as well as the progression of the series, we are near the end of the series. It's not near the end, but it's more like the beginning of the end. Like, the end is in sight, we can see it. It's like a tall building where we can see, but you know if you walk there it's still a far distance away. So that comes into the question, when will Luffy meet Shanks? Many people have even started to theorize that Shanks and Luffy may never actually meet, but Shanks will meet his demise and die before Luffy gets the chance to even see him or give his hat back. We're definitely gonna see Shanks' crew meet Luffy's crew, like it has to happen. This meeting is not just important for Luffy as a lot of people think, it's also important for other members of the Straw Hats, most notably Usopp. What some people may not have realized or understood is the reason why Usopp's dream is to become a brave warrior of the sea. It's not something he just came up and thought of, but it's inspired from his father. He wants to understand why his father kind of left and lived the life of piracy. He wants to live the life his father had and understand why he lived the life of piracy, as well as understand what it means to be a true warrior, a brave warrior. So Usopp meeting his father has to happen, as it will complete Usopp's arc. Well, it won't complete it, but it will help progress Usopp's character arc as well as his dream into becoming a brave warrior of the sea. I just cannot wait for the eventual meeting of the red-haired pirates and the Straw Hat pirate. Like, seeing the reaction of Jinbei seeing Luffy being so close with Shanks is going to be so funny and so interesting, because as of we know, Jinbei doesn't know of the connection between Luffy and Shanks, as the other Straw Hats back in Enies lobby didn't even know, like when Robin was like, wait a minute, Luffy, you know Shanks? It's small things like that that I can't wait and I love about the series. But another interaction I would love to see and I can't wait to see is actually Shanks and Zoro. And that's because Shanks has a close relationship with Dracula Mihawk, who is the guy that Zoro is trying to surpass, because Shanks and Mihawk had duels back in the day every day. So it's possible that Shanks have heard a little inkling or two from Mihawk about Zoro, and they might even clash. I can definitely envision a scenario where Luffy arrives on the island and Shanks comes flying in at Mach 10 trying to attack Luffy to test his power just for fun and shits and giggles, but Zoro comes in and tries to intervene, and Shanks goes, "Oh, you're not so bad. No wonder Mihawk is looking forward to you or has high expectations of you." I think that would be great, as well as Ben Beckman and Zoro, as well as Nami and their relationship, because Ben Beckman is supposed to be the serious one and the right-hand man to Shanks, so his interaction with the crew is going to be great. And when they meet, it's going to be super casual. We get to finally learn more information about Shanks and his crew and their past and all sorts of stuff. Even a conversation between Shanks and Robin, or Robin and Ben Beckman, would be great. But most importantly, the conversation between Luffy and Shanks is going to be nice to reminiscing, but it's eventually going to come down to a warning for Luffy about Blackbeard, because Luffy and Blackbeard are eventually going to have to butt heads or go toe to toe when they're going out, because they both have the same goal in mind, which is become Pirate King. And it's going to be a great conversation, because Shanks is going to reveal to Luffy that the reason he has those 3 scars on his eyes because of Blackbeard, and this might fuel Luffy even more, because Luffy already has a vendetta against Blackbeard because of what he did to Ace. Even though Luffy has kind of come to terms with the situation, because he said Ace is a pirate, that's his life, that's how he chose to live. But nonetheless, you know, Shanks is definitely going to warn Luffy about Blackbeard, and may even intervene where Luffy says he's going to fight and defeat Blackbeard one day, and Shanks is like, "I don't know if that's the best idea, Luffy. That nigga's weird." I do believe that at the very end of this meeting, when they're about to go their separate ways, Luffy is going to try to give Shanks his hat back, but Shanks is going to be like, "No, I think you should keep it for a bit longer. It suits you more." And Luffy will be the one to continue the legacy of Roger, who originally had that hat. And Shanks might even reveal that information to Luffy, like, "You should keep the hat, it suits you." And we get a flashback of Roger giving the hat to Shanks, and Shanks might even tell Luffy like, "Oh, you know, that hat is very important to me, but I think you should have it, as that hat used to belong to my captain, Goldie Roger." Which honestly, I can totally see Oda not revealing that information to Luffy, and might just be a mini flashback within Shanks' head remembering when he got that. But instead, Shanks will say, "Luffy, you earned the right to have that hat, you should keep it." But I can also see Shanks revealing the importance of the hat, and that the hat is a lot more important than anyone could have imagined, as the hat has been passed down from generation to generation. As to when they'll meet, I believe that they're probably going to meet right after Wano. Maybe not right after, but probably the island or 2 islands right after Wano, as their meeting is probably very, very imminent and a lot closer than we might think. As especially if Luffy is going to defeat a Yonko, or maybe both, I think Luffy has earned the chance or the right to finally meet Shanks as a great pirate, as he promised all those years ago. There's a very popular fan theory that Shanks is actually going to be reintroduced into the story on Elbaf, because there's connections with Elbaf and Shanks, as Shanks' crew, or at least his ship, is based off Vikings, and Shanks himself is based off of a Viking. And with the whole Viking theme with Elbaf and Shanks' crew, at least his ship, I can definitely see a connection there. But at the same time, it might be a little weird, because I see, or at least envision, Elbaf to be Big Mom's arc, or at least her finale to her arc, because of her big connections with the Giants. But most importantly, why this meeting is important is because it will be the last time that Luffy and Shanks meet, I believe. I am highly on the train that Shanks will die by the end of the series, and it's going to be by the hands of Black. Their fight has been foreshadowed for a long time, as Blackbeard was the one who gave Shanks those scars all those years ago, as well as back in Marineford when Blackbeard said that they're not ready to fight just yet, as well as after Shanks were trying to warn everyone about the threat of Blackbeard and no one listened. And I pray to the Shonen Jump gods that we actually see this fight and it's not off screen, and we get a few chapters later and it's on the newspaper, "Shanks' crew has fallen and the red-haired pirate's captain is dead." And it's like, oh my god, Oda, like, you really couldn't show us that? I'd like to throw in the option that, just like Marineford, Shanks may enter the war in Wano and try to intervene and stop what's going on between Kaido and Big Mom. And this would be a great opportunity for Shanks to show how powerful he is, as well as use him as an obstacle for Big Mom and distract him while everyone else is going after Kaido. I think it would be in character and also make a lot of sense for Shanks to enter the war in Wano because he had a close and deep bond with Kozuki Oden, as well as he seems to be the type of person to want to keep the balance in the world as seen in the end of Marineford War, as well as going to the Gorosei personally to warn them about a certain pirate. And it seems like a lot of people outside of Wano seems to already know that Kaido and Big Mom are forming an alliance, and that would disrupt the balance quite a lot and tip the scales. So Shanks will definitely want to intervene and stop that before things get out of hand. Because no matter how you slice it, 2 Yonko versus the Straw Hat Alliance is just a bit too much, and Shanks being introduced here and helping Luffy would actually be pretty cool and pretty nice. Because not only does Luffy have a connection and a relationship with Shanks, but so does Eustace Kid, as they were enemies and Shanks is the reason, or at least someone in his crew is the reason for Kid losing an arm. So their interaction would be kind of cool, where Shanks had entered the war, he says hi to Luffy, and then he sees Kid and he says, "Oh, you look good with that arm," and then Kid is obviously pissed off, like, "Why are you here?" And it would be very funny. And then Kid could also learn that Luffy and Shanks actually have a bond and a relationship and are on good terms, and that'll probably piss Kid a lot more. But that's the video, guys. Put down the comments down below what you think will happen with Shanks. Will Luffy and Shanks even meet? Will Shanks survive at the end of the series? Is he gonna die? You guys tell me that down below. Also, be sure to rate the video, subscribe, and click the bell icon to stay notified. And if you like video games, follow me on my gaming channel, FlyFlizzy, as well as my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/FlyFlizzy, as I usually stream there if I'm not on here. Also, put down in the comments how strong you think Shanks is and if he's actually going to be friend or foe, because many have theorized that Shanks might actually end up being an enemy. I don't believe that, but teach their own. But that is all. I hope you guys stay safe, have a good day and a good night. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Toodles!